WBTV News starts right now with a First Alert Weather Day.
The sights and sounds of what Hurricane Helene continues to pour into our newsroom. We've been on your side tracking the very latest as that storm moved onshore overnight.
And now that storm is in the Carolinas. We are live covering the impact on our area as we get that heavy wind and rain from Helene. Our continuing coverage ramps back up right now. Good morning. Thank you for waking up with us on this Friday. I'm Alex Giles.
And I'm Mary King. And as you do start your Friday morning, sadly, the storm has already turned deadly here in the Charlotte area. We've got a live look over uptown as the area is just being inundated with the heavy winds and rains that we knew Helene would bring.
That storm made landfall overnight in Florida's Big Bend as a Category 4 hurricane. Here's a look at where it is now as it moves toward the Carolinas. It has been downgraded to a tropical storm.
Look how it's hovering over the upstate of South Carolina, those really hard parts as well as our own mountain counties. And that's why we're seeing Duke Energy's outage map skyrocket this morning. We'll go to a live look at that. In fact, in the last 30 minutes, we've jumped by more than 200,000 customers. So now we're at 340,000 customers in the Carolinas alone without power.
We're also watching the co-ops. We know some folks get power from electric co-ops. 226,000 meters without power in South Carolina. We know those outages just continue to climb as the storm really ramps up in our area.
And I know that means school district leaders are watching and taking a deep breath that they called off school in many places or are doing e-learning on this Friday morning. Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools has that remote learning day. We know Ash, Cabarrus, Lincoln, Union, they're all closed. You see that list scrolling down on your screen. That's at WBTV.com. We'll also be scrolling up for you on the bottom of our screen throughout the morning.
Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin, Meteorologist Eric Garlick tracking when that storm is going to really start to hit us the hardest.
And that's now, right? So let's get right to them. What's the latest on the storm track now, guys?
Yeah, I can tell you, Eric, we're talking about this idea of downgrading. That's really not part of this conversation anymore. The storm has been downgraded to a tropical storm, but for our purposes, it really makes no difference.
Our impacts are ramping up. 52-mile-an-hour wind gusts, a lot of flash flood warnings, using the damage threat tag considerable with that. So that's when it'll trigger the wireless emergency alerts on your phones. So a lot of people probably waking up to that and checking in and what's going on. Well, we got a lot of rain and it's not going to stop anytime soon.
No, this is just ramping up now here. We thought right at daybreak this would be about the worst time of it, and that's what we're looking at right now. So, folks, here you go. There's the rain that we're seeing this morning. Really intense, heavy rain from the mountains to the foothills to the southern Piedmont now. We are covered in rain, and it will only get worse here this morning because the bigger downpours are actually coming in as we speak. There are also more tornado warnings over here toward Myrtle Beach and Georgetown. Some of that could get ramped up in our eastern counties a little bit later this morning. At the moment, there isn't a risk for any tornadoes here. The bigger story is the flooding and the wind. The winds are really strong right now. I want to show you what the Futurecast is going to show because this is going to be basically the next 3-4 hours where we're going to have to deal with the most intense rain. I'm talking about 1 to 2 inches per hour. So if you've got flooding now, it will only get worse. Just be mindful of this now. So hopefully everybody has got their plans in place. You're in a safe spot. Watch as this rain unfolds and also the winds. Eric mentioned we've had a gust as high as 52 in Charlotte. It's now close to 50. We've got 36 in Shelby, 45 Gastonia, 40 in Hickory, over 40 in the mountains. Very strong winds. That's why we're getting these trees to come down. The ground is totally saturated and heavy rain continues to fall. This is downtown Belmont. I've been watching this. It's a windswept heavy rain. Hopefully, most folks are staying at home and not venturing out on the roads, but I do want to give you an update with our friend Nia Harden. She's got First Alert traffic right now.
All right, First Alert traffic sponsored by Toyota of North Charlotte. We are really busy out there this morning, Al, and if you can stay home, please do so. We know officials have been urging you to do that. Reasons why, we'll take a look here. This is I-77 at the Brookshire. This camera moving right now, shaking, just showing you how strong those winds are. Then we've got John Belk that we're looking at right now. You can see those raindrops on the camera lens, but also notice that there aren't a lot of people on the roads. Hopefully people are taking their advice. I-77, we're looking at South Carolina right now, making your way from the South Carolina area to the state line. Traffic is picking up in that area. I do want to let you know about a roadblock, Beatty's Ford Road at the Brookshire Freeway. We know that's a busy area. That's going to cause some problems. And also your miles per hour if you do have to be out. South Tryon, this is near I-485, seeing about 28 miles per hour in the yellow. And Matthews area, this is going to be NC 51 near Providence. We are looking at 26 miles per hour. Now, I do want to warn you that I'm seeing a lot south of the Charlotte area, things like roadblocks because of trees and power lines, things like that are being down. Just make sure if you have to be out today to leave early if you can, and be very careful. I have some tips for you coming up, Alex.
That is already great advice, Naya. Thank you. We've had crews out across Mecklenburg County this morning tracking the latest impact here locally from Helene.
And we know that flooding is a major impact. We also know that we're already seeing trees down, and unfortunately that's turned deadly in our area. Our Mary Calkins is live for us tracking all of this. Mary?
Yeah, Mary, Alex, we've just recently moved to Little Sugar Creek. This is just outside of uptown Charlotte. And Mary, Alex, we often talk about here in Charlotte, when we see this significant rainfall, we often see these creek systems here really start to overflow. And I want to just depict to you guys, my photographer, Emmett, if you wouldn't mind showing these trees up here. I want you all to see the power of the wind here. And now we're going to show you the water. You can see how quickly this water is moving. These bushes here you see, they're just bent with the way that the wind is pushing. But guys, we're going to keep walking down here. So Little Sugar Creek, very popular for people to walk their dogs, go for a run. You need to use this tunnel, but let's take a look. Obviously, you're not going to be doing that today. One thing we were talking about is we actually have no idea how deep this water is. Right here, it's a couple of inches, but think about just how deep it could be down there. I think I'm getting in a... We're going to show you also here just seeing this water where it just meets the sidewalk, totally pouring over. We know Stormwater Services, they have creek cameras up at a lot of these creek systems throughout the city so that they can monitor water levels. Sometimes these creeks, now not here, but some creeks will pour over onto the roads. That creates a hazard. We know during Tropical Storm Debbie last month, we saw officers actually taping off certain roadways so that cars wouldn't get stuck in this kind of water. So again, this is something that we often see with our creek systems here in Charlotte when we see this type of rainfall. This is something we'll be tracking throughout the day. But for now, reporting live in Charlotte, Mary Calkins, WBTV on your side.
Mary, that water rising is the story of the morning. It's why some voluntary evacuations were also issued ahead of these rising waters.
So far, Alexander, Burt, Gaston, and Mecklenburg, they all issued evacuations in some of those flood-prone areas. In Mecklenburg County, officials have been really worried about the northwestern part of the county, Mountain Island Lake to be specific. That's where we find Naomi Coles.
Naomi, we've been on air with you for 2.5 hours now. That water's really starting to rise behind you.
It really is. You know, we've been talking all morning about how this lake is part of a string of lakes that Duke Energy manages in the Catawba Water region, river basin. Those lakes are rising to historic levels is what Duke Energy is warning today. This is where it's at right now. This is Mountain Island Lake. Take a look. The sign here, I've been watching the water creep up on that sign. We kind of slowly pan over. This is the Riverbend boat launch that we're at right now, right here on the edge of the lake. Take a look again. The wind is starting to gust. You can see some of those trees moving. But you see here that the tree is pretty far underwater. Trees on the other side pretty far underwater. I just checked. The latest levels are at just over 103.3 feet. And again, the max capacity here is 100 feet. This is where there's we are not far from 4 evac zones. River Drive, River Bend, Lake Drive. Again, that wind starting to gust, and Hart Road. I want to show you some video now. This is a video of the Catawba River just 3 hours ago. And this is what you've heard Al and Eric talk about, where we had all that water come through before it even started raining for Hurricane Helene. This is the video you're seeing is from along Riverbend Road. You're seeing how high that water was. That was 3 hours ago before this rain started. Again, officials urging people that voluntary evac notices for that area, other areas. But, we talked to people last night who said, we're going to hunker down, we're going to see it out.
We've done everything we can here. We've taken everything off the dock. We've taken everything electrical off the dock. I think really the concern is for the neighbors that are in a lower laying area, whereas there's a big possibility of flooding in their house.
Again, we're going to keep monitoring these levels throughout the morning. I've been hitting refresh on you can check Duke Energy lake levels online. They update that every 30 minutes to an hour. I've been checking that all morning, watching this water rise. We'll continue monitoring throughout the day. Back to you.
Naomi Cole is along Mountain Island Lake. We appreciate her reporting throughout the morning. We're also staying on top of updates from North Carolina and South Carolina state leaders. We know North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper plans to hold a news conference later today.
That is set for 11 a.m. We will carry it on air and online live for you here on WBTV.
All right, now we want to get to Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin. He's been tracking this storm for days, and now it is upon us, Al.
Yeah, almost every county in our viewing area is under a flood warning right now, and I'm using my WBTV weather app. I want to show you why we talk about this, because if you lose power, this will be your way to communicate with us. All right, so let's take a look at it. I'm now online here with this, and I'm going to go to the radar, and I want to show you. Here's how you could zoom literally down. Look at the heavy downpours now around Gastonia, Kings Mountain. These are going northward up into Lincoln County. I also want to focus on this area in South Carolina right now, because that's moving in our direction, right towards Charlotte. You see these big downpours around Great Falls and Rock Hill. That's heading in our direction. New flood warning for Mecklenburg, Union, and Cabarrus until 11 a.m. Complete First Alert weather forecast. Erica will join me in just a couple of minutes. Naya.
First Alert traffic sponsored by Toyota of North Charlotte. I continue to try to keep you updated as I'm getting so much information in. Right now, we've got a tree that has fallen in Union County near Waxhaw. This is going to be at Tom Starnes Road. This is not too far from Mary Elizabeth Church Road. Again, this is blocking both directions. We'll keep you updated on what else is happening coming up.
Time right now, 6:53. We have major breaking news just into the newsroom. There are now mandatory evacuations for people living along some parts of Mountain Island Lake.
They had been voluntary. It is now in order. Want to show you this video from overnight. The National Guard called to save someone from their home in Northwest Charlotte. It was the scene along Riverside Drive near the Catawba River. A voluntary evacuation was issued, but not everyone had left at that point. We're told a person woke up to about 3 feet of water in their home. Then the National Guard vehicle got stuck on that scene. They were forced to call in backup before rescuing that person to safety. Again, that is now a mandatory order. This is in the area of Riverside Drive, Lake Drive, River Haven Drive, parts of Beagle Club Road, Hart Road. This is all near Mountain Island Lake. This coming from Charlotte. As you see there, Mecklenburg Emergency Management. They say flood waters are rising. There is a shelter open at Tuckasegee Rec Center. That is at 4820 Tuckasegee Road. Charlotte fires on scene. We are following this closely.
Also in Northwest Charlotte, we know a tree fell onto a home on Brookway Drive. We know one person was killed. That all happened just about 2 hours ago, right near Brookshire in the I-85 area. According to medic, they were able to rescue one other person from that home. They were taken to the hospital. There were also children inside the home. We are told the children are okay, but one person confirmed dead after a tree falling on a home on Brookway Drive. Let's get to Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin.
My goodness, always just a terrible situation when we have a loss of life, but we're here to give you the warning. I was up there yesterday at Mountain Island Lake with Claire Cosby, and extremely heavy rain falling in that area right now, so I'm not surprised. River Haven, it's all coming down now, so the mandatory evacuations, and unfortunately it's going to get worse before it gets better. We're looking at big bands of rain coming up from South Carolina right into our viewing area. On top of that, the winds have been really picking up. We're going to deal with this through the morning hours, and then we will get improvement as we go into the afternoon. In fact, I believe the sun will actually break through, but again, it will get worse before it gets better. We'll have at least 3-4 hours of very heavy rain. Gusts now are close to 40 miles per hour. So again, understand your risk. If you're in a very low spot, a vulnerable spot, you want to take shelter and evacuate now if you're near water, if you can do so safely. All right, our 7-day forecast, it really looks better as we go into the weekend. We will get through this. Even this afternoon, it looks better. And then as we widen this out, the next week, much, much drier weather here, very seasonal weather with low 80s by day and lows at night in the 60s. Again, mandatory evacuation. Claire Copsby and I were up there yesterday at River Haven and Hart, and I just knew that whole area has happened before. This is the third time in 20 years, and this is a bad one. This is 110 feet the forecast for Mountain Island Lake.
We are thinking of those folks and their families. Obviously, we're hoping they get this message as soon as possible so they can get out of Dodge
safely.
Helene, now deadly here in the Carolinas and in the Charlotte area. It is a storm we are tracking closely for you throughout the morning. Should there be any imminent updates, we will bring them to you live on air, and stay with us on the WBTV News and Weather app.